My name is Emmalie Dropkin. I'm in '07, so I might have been here with some of you. I teach self-contained special education, 1st through 5th grade, in inner city Baltimore. And what that means is that I teach every subject, and I have kids in all of those grades. Well, I have 1st through 4th all day long and 5th graders for science and social studies, which is a lot. They have emotional disabilities, learning disabilities, mental retardation, attention problems, or mostly some combination thereof. And to sort of answer Barry's question, I'll tell you about 2 different kids. One boy, Rayshawn, has been with me for 2 years, and the first time I ever really knew that he, loved me was a day last year when I was giving a math test, and he has severe attention problems and hyperactivity problems, and he ran into my room, jumped onto the armchair, and started jumping up and down shouting my name. And I screamed at the top of my lungs, "Rayshawn, get in your chair." And he got down, and he went and he sat down, and he put his head down, and the tears just started. Because I went over and I apologized 15 times. I mean, I didn't want to make him cry. But, I mean, you really connect with the kids, and that's a big part of what's worth it. And he's come a long way since he's been in my room. He's finally, his family is a disaster. He's been abandoned by his parents with his grandmother. They finally have treatment for his attention for ADHD this year, and he's come up like a grade level and a half in reading. We read the BFG a few weeks ago, and I don't know if you guys know this book, but my kids have never sat so quietly as they did for the first 5 pages of the book, where the giant is reaching into the little girl's bedroom and snatching her up. And their enjoyment is wonderful, and when you can give them something like that, I mean, for a lot of us, we sort of treasure our elementary school memories, we remember it really fondly. Most of school is not like that for them, and so to see them get that is great. And the thing I love most about him is that he will sit and read a biography of Barack Obama. He read 1 page for our half hour of silent reading, 1 page every day until he finished the book, even though it was unbelievably harder than anything that he could read. And he had to ask me literally every 3rd word, maybe. Every word that was longer than 4 letters, he had to ask me what it was. But he did it because he finally has made enough progress that he understands that this can give him something. This book can give him something that he wants, some knowledge. And that's the payoff. Being there in that room and getting to share that is the payoff. On the other hand, I have another student named India who's been in my room since my first day teaching 3 years ago, who for the last 11 months has been descending into early onset schizophrenia, which I knew last May, and which I knew the first day we got back to school this fall. And I started trying to get her a meeting. Everyone's special ed paperwork gets reviewed once a year with their parent and the psychologist and everybody. But you can call emergency meetings at other times. It took me 5 months to get a meeting scheduled, which happened in January. And the follow-up meeting, which legally can only be held 6 weeks later, is scheduled for next week, the end of April. She won't get to be in another school next year, probably, even though she desperately needs to be in a clinical setting. And that's the real frustration. It's that, like other people were saying, I repeatedly have had the sense that my administrators and the people in charge of the special ed department care more about paperwork than children, and everything they do shows me that they have no respect for my children's futures or for what they would be capable of doing if we actually did what was best for them instead of what follows a legal timeline that we're still not even adhering to. And that makes me really crazy. So it's good that I have my kids, because last week when they came and told me that India's meeting had been rescheduled again, I broke my clipboard by slamming it against our TV cart. And Darian, who is the most wild of my wild children, said to me, "Ms. Dropkin, don't wild out about this." And then we got back to work.
There are few human situations more difficult than to find yourself helpless with somebody you care about. And my daughter is a public school teacher, and the one time I saw her close to quitting and really breaking down was when she had a little boy, sort of like India, whom she knew needed a level of help she could not provide through the classroom. But she also knew that to turn him over, she put it to the bureaucracy, meant he would disappear forever.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the night she called me and she said, they finished the workup, he will never see the light of day again. And it's often true. I mean, so the help bureaucracy in many public school systems is actually what I call a disappearance bureaucracy. And good teachers know that. And if you reach a point where you can't do anything on your own and you really don't have any place else to go, there's a tremendous sense of loss. It's more than my lesson plan didn't work today, which you're probably all. Oh, sorry.
I just want to point one thing out. So there are many different public school settings, and charter schools, while they're not traditional public schools, they are public schools. And I have a great relationship with my headmaster and my principal, and I feel supported by my colleagues. We are a very strict school. There is no discipline issues. If a kid threw something at me, that he'll be suspended. I would never dream of that. So I feel very proud to be a teacher in my school. I feel like I'm a professional. I feel like an entrepreneur I feel like an entrepreneur in the school, handling my department, my Latin department, along with the new teacher the first year. So I'm kind of mentoring him as well. So while everyone's experience here are all valid and are true, there are myriad experiences here, and some positive and some not so positive.
Adebayo, you and Michael are the two charter school presences, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I would suspect that if we had time to go into an extensive comparison, there'd be important differences in your situations. There are a number of excellent charter schools. Overall, as I'm sure the two of you know, charter schools, on the few hard evidence we've got, do not do better than most public schools. And there are all kinds of interesting reasons for that. But charter schools, I think, as long as we don't make them the whole future of public education, as unfortunately President Obama has done, are very useful alternatives. And there are all kinds of situations in which I think they can help a lot. They will never educate, I would argue, more than 10% of the public school students in this country.
I've been a part of the public school education my whole life. I mean, I went to Boston Land School, which is an exam school, and now I'm at Boston Prep. And I agree with some of what you say, in that we only can educate a segment of the population. But I'll say there's a problem right now. So instead of saying what we can't do, let's say what we can do. And I also want to see charter schools being looked at as a laboratory. I think we have a lot of innovative systems that can be replicated. Now, what's also true is that there are good charter schools, also some terrible charter schools, and what we need are better schools. Period. So we shouldn't replicate poor charter schools. We should look at the ones that are doing better. I'm fortunately part of a great one, and we outperform lots of great schools on the MCAS, which is Massachusetts Comprehensive Exam, and that's something that we're proud about. And on the other side, we're concerned about how our kids are going to do in college. So it's a both and. I'm into seeing public schools, all of them, do better, and these children that are being underserved to get